My name is Mike Baptiste. I was born in Inglewood, California, raised in Long Beach, California. I started playing basketball at a very early age, 4 or 5 years old if I can, really remember. My father is a mechanic by trade, and every day in the backyard we see all these cars, he's working on, and one day, I see the basketball hoop, on the garage, and I tell my dad to move all the cars so I can shoot, and he's telling me, you don't know what you're doing. But I just wanted to try, and then, I get a little bit older, 8, 9 years old, and at that time in the 80s, the Los Angeles Lakers was the dynasty, at that time. And, for a kid like me, watching Magic, Kareem, Cooper, Byron Scott, I was mesmerized. They was winners. They was champions, and they had the whole city of LA as united as one. And I said, if I ever get older, I want to have that kind of feeling. I don't know if it's NBA, whatever, but I want to play and see how far, I can take it. And, year by year, I worked and worked and worked, played well in high school, my junior club, AAU, that's what we call it, in America. And, I made a name for myself, around the city, where, people know who I am, kind of recognize who I am, and, a little flattering for, a teenage kid, but I still had other goals in mind, in terms of, getting out of the city was, rough in Long Beach, a lot, kids grow up seeing things that you really shouldn't see. And, I knew basketball could be a means of way of taking care of myself and my family, and that's one of the things that I wanted to do. So, I just, worked my butt off, got out of high school. My grades really wasn't that well, so I had to sit back and do a year of junior college, and a little embarrassed, by that, because I had a lot of support and love in Long Beach City, and I felt that I let a lot of people down, by not, going Division I, right out of, high school. But if you ever grew up in Long Beach City, it's a lot of distractions, and it's very hard, for a kid at that age to really tell yourself what is right and what's wrong. And, with my dad kind of being, in and out the house, I really didn't have a backbone or a male to really tell me, what was right, what's wrong. I had to learn a lot of stuff from, people on the street that really didn't give you the best advice at hand. So, I did my 1 year at Long Beach City College. I busted my tail in the classroom. I got good grades. And then the whole recruiting process starts over again. I'm getting way more college letters than I did in high school. And I knew it was something that was big, and I started taking it, very seriously. So, made my choices, either to go to Arizona State or Arizona. And I remember taking my first college recruiting visit to Arizona State. And, of course, when they're recruiting players and stuff, they like to bring guys when there's a football game or some kind of event going on. And the football team was playing Nebraska. They was the best football team in the country at that point. And, Arizona State ended up beating them. And you see all the fans, run from, the seats and stuff. They tear down a goalpost, and everything is all this excitement and this joy. And I remember this is something I want to be a part of. If I could bust my tail and bring this energy, this, unity through the game of basketball, this is what I want to do. So I signed away, and, the rest was kind of history. I got to Arizona State as a sophomore. I did okay, I was still trying to learn the game, learn my teammates. I came in with an unhealthy knee, so there was a lot of things I had to work on to get to a certain level of confidence where I can trust my skill set. So after my sophomore year, of course, you get with your strength coach, your weight coach, and, I worked on my body, got my legs real strong, whatever. And then by my junior year, I mean, like my skill set took off and I started making a name, not only in the state of Arizona, but around like the nation of who I was. And it was a real big deal for me. And I knew at that age that it was something special. And all I had to do was just play my cards right to, you know, to do the best that I can. You know, my senior year didn't really go as well as my junior year. I mean, that's how basketball is. It has its ups and downs. When my senior year finished, you know, I was excited to try to, you know, put my skills to the test to see, you know, if I can play against all the top colleges that you used to watch on TV Saturday morning, the guys from North Carolina, Kentucky, all this stuff. And I was excited to see all those guys come to Arizona and, you know, play in this organized camp to where I can test my skills and see if I belong with those guys or let alone belong on the next level. And I played my ass off, you know what I mean? I did my best, made the all-tournament team, whatever. And, you know, my agent at the time was telling me good things of what scouts were saying about me, how my draft stock was rising up. And it was, you know, great for my confidence and my self-esteem. And, you know, I try to take my talents and my skill set to another draft, pre-draft camp in Chicago, which is a really big deal. And I'm doing well my first, you know, couple days there. And I had a big setback, you know, I tear my ACL. And that was real difficult for me because, you know, I tear my ACL and I don't get drafted. So all the dreams that I had as a young boy was, you know, pretty much shattered. And that was hard to process because you have friends and guys that, you know, respect you, and you have to sit back and watch, you know, on the TV screen while you have to sit there and be patient and try to hope that your body is going to recover. And, you know, my self-esteem was a little low because I felt I always worked hard, but you can ask any sports player that, you know, when you have an injury to any part of your body, you feel like your body has, you know, betrayed you a little bit. And, you know, I just went through the motions of ups and downs, self-esteem, different confidence, but you know, I had a good support system, like with my family, trying to push me to be better. But it was a process. It was a long 9-month process. It was grueling. Patience was my enemy. I didn't want to sit back and, you know, not play anymore, but I knew that I had to get my body right to the best condition as possible. So, you know, I do the grueling 9 months of rehab, and, you know, by the 10th month, I get cleared from the doctors to go play. I sit down with my agent one summer, and he's like, listen, I need you to, you know, look into this contract from a team in Belgium, you know, called Charleroi. And, you know, we sat down and, you know, mapped out a game plan, not to, you know, be out of yourself. The main goal was to go over there to trust my body again, trust my knee again, and to also, you know, prove to myself that I can, you know, still play the game. So, you know, went over there, did the best that I could. And it was a great experience, learning experience for me. That was like my first introduction, you know, to the Euroleague. And even at, you know, 21, 22 years old, you know, I knew the Euroleague level was a pretty high energy, intense level. And, you know, I wanted to be a part of that. And after I finished, you know, the first year in Belgium, in Charleroi, you know, I go to Italy, you know, in the city of Biella, which was really good. It was fantastic. You know, the culture, the people, the food was there. It was nice. But the level of play in Italy was super. You know what I mean? I think it was great for me. I mean, we only played once a week, but, you know, every game was a real high-level, intense game. And, you know, when I held my own, you know, in that league, I was, you know, looking for another level to try to challenge myself. And, you know, after that second year, I was able to, you know, accomplish a lifelong dream and, you know, make it to the NBA, you know, with the Memphis Grizzlies. That experience was an experience of a lifetime. You know, I got to play with some really good guys, Jason Williams, you know, Paul Gasol, Lorenzen Wright. And, you know, I took that experience for what it's worth, you know. You know, unfortunately, after that time, the business, I guess, business side of basketball kind of takes over, which kind of sucks at times. I had a choice to make. It was either try to go through the ringer of being one of these free agents that comes to the vet camp as probably is a far shot to make a roster, or I had this piece of paper, saying in front of me from another Euroleague team. My agent was like, you really need to look into this. The money is good, all this stuff. But I was stubborn. I was like, I want to stay at home and play in the NBA, play in front of my family. This is what I work for. This is what I dreamed about. But it just didn't happen, that way. I kept looking, into the contract and kind of doing some smaller research about Athens, and people was telling me, different things. And, until you get to a certain destination, you can have your own perspective of something. So, I signed away and, had my real first experience of, being in the Euroleague level, and that's something that I wanted. But on top of that, I didn't understand all the pressure that came with Panathinaikos. I really didn't know the history from Obradovic. I really didn't know the history before I got there. So, me just being young and not really knowledgeable, I'm just like, I'll just go over there and just play, do my best, and, be the best I could be, come back home and try to get to the NBA again. And, I went through that first season, with Panathinaikos, which was a really good experience. But on the flip side, I had to battle through injuries, different little things. I had to, adjust my game because the rules are, different as well than it is in America and NBA, and it was tough for me. But I kept working at it, and eventually I got better. But I don't think I was satisfied by, the way that I played, and, I had a bad taste in my mouth, just from playing bad. I had to, reprocess my thought and mentally challenge myself to, go back in the summer, go through the summer league situation again, and try to make it out in one of these vet camps again. But, my agent and I was talking with some teams, and, things just didn't work out. So I had to call Panathinaikos again and say, hey, listen, I want to come back. And, they opened the arms again, signed me again to another year. And I remember, the motivation was for me is that, I had a first year contract, good money. My second year contract, they took less money from me. And it wasn't really like a disrespect, but it was more like, you got to earn your keep a little bit. And I took that as a challenge. So, from the first day I got there, my second year, I worked. Obradovic had changed my position from a power forward to a center. I had to study different players on how the style of a center, was played. And, unfortunately, that helped me out in a lot of ways. That second year was really good for me in Panathinaikos. I got the first experience of a Euroleague Final Four, which was really big, in Moscow in 2005. But even then, I was still young and inexperienced. I was just happy to be there. All the attention, distractions you're getting, media, cameras, everybody at home is going to watch the game. So I was just happy, just to be there. And I think I took it, for granted. And of course, we lost to Maccabi in the semifinals. They was a better team at that time. And when we lost, nobody likes losing, but you have to process it and you have to learn from it. And you play the third place game, you win the third place game against Cheska, and then I sat back and stayed in the arena and watched the final. And I just wanted to see, what the field was like, how is the championship really played at a real high level. I sat there, watched, Anthony Parker, Sharon Jaskovicius, Maceo Bassin, Euroleague legends that were ahead of me in that time, play at an unbelievable level. And to see them win, hold up the trophy, all the confetti, flying around, I was like, this is something that I want to experience. I already had a little experience of, a Greek championship, a cup, but the EuroLeague was the highest thing that you could win, and it was another level of respect, that I wanted. So, we didn't win the Final Four that year, 2005. We come back next year, and were really, really good. Our national team players, they won the gold medal that year, the summer of 2005, and I remember watching and I was like, man, this is, something I want to be a part of. These guys have a burning desire to win. Their mentality is sharp, and I was like, man, if I could, get on that same level, I can help out in a big way. And unfortunately, I did, work my butt off. I played well. I helped the team in every situation. We took the Greek championship, we took the Greek Cup that year, but we still fell short of our goal of, winning a Euroleague title. We lost a tough 3-game series to Tal and Luis Scola, Perjoni, and those guys here at Awaka. I felt that we was good enough to win. I felt we was even good enough to win the Final Four because I felt that Maccabi was hurting at that point without Sharunas because he made his choice to go to the NBA, and Will Solomon was a point guard. And even though that was, good for them, Sharunas brought a whole different level to that team, and I felt that he was like the piece, to Maccabi, and I felt that if we matched up with them again, we have a better advantage. But, the game of basketball has a lot of heartbreaks. You lose at the buzzer. And again, you have to, process that loss and that disappointment. And, season finish, we finished on a high by beating Olympiacos in the Greek championship. Getting home that summer, checking websites, whatever, and I see that the 2007 final will be here in Athens. And that was a big motivation, for myself. I don't know about my other teammates at that time, but like I was at home, like very, very anxious, like to get back over here and be in the best shape that I could be, so I can do my part and everything I can in my power to help my team, get to this level. So, 2007 was a very, very special, year for us. We played at a very high level, from the beginning of the year all the way to the end of the season, and that's very rare to find teams like that can hold on to a high level intensity for such a long season. And we had our ups and downs. We suffered disappointment just like every team does every year, but we processed that, we learned from it. We got better, month by month, and we was able to do something special that year and earn a Final Four berth, right in our backyard on our home court. I mean, that was huge, And for me, I wasn't arrogant or nothing like that, but I was super confident that we would win. I knew we had to put in the work. You can't shy away from that at all. And we accomplished a really big goal that year. We got through the semifinal against Tal. And then we got the matchup of a lifetime against Ceska, who was defending champion the year before. And going back to 2006, I remember, playing Ceska 2 times during the regular season. We beat them twice. And to see them win the European title, knowing that, that's a team that we can beat, that didn't sit well to me. I can remember Yaka calling me because I didn't even watch the Final Four. I didn't want to watch it because I just felt like my anxiety just would have got the best of me. And I called him and said, hey, who won the Final Four? He's like, Ceska. And I remember I threw my phone at the wall and I broke the phone, and, just my wife is looking at me crazy, like, what are you doing? I'm just like, leave me the hell alone. Like, let me process all of this, let it calm down. I think from that moment, that was a real burning desire for me to, go home, work on my body, work on my skill set, and come back as the best version of myself. And, I did that, in 2007. So that was a really big deal for me. I mean, when you reach the pinnacle of success, self-esteem, confidence, I mean, it just shoots through the roof. And every challenge that is thrown in front of you, you can accomplish it, with hard work, dedication. And, I prided myself on that. That was like my staple, that was my foundation. Good things come to those that work hard. And, we was blessed, to not only win, the Final Four. We was able to win the Greek Cup at Awaka. We was able to win the Greek championship there. It was, the first triple crown in Panathinaikos history. That was, really, really special, to be, in the history books. And, be remembered for something that you did that was really, really special. The first time I won, the European title, it gave me, again, another level of self-confidence, self-esteem. I would sit at home and tell myself I belong here, this is what I want to do. You got to keep working at it, but you can't settle, for anything less. A lot of guys, they win a title and they kind of take their foot off the gas. And for me, I won another one. That's kind of how I grew up, watching the Lakers. I think the Lakers won 5 titles, like in the 80s, when I was growing up. And I remember, like, this is kind of a platform that you want to be on so you can be like those guys that you idolize, growing up. So that first title was very special to me because, again, it proved to me that I belong, on this level. And I knew I would get another level of respect, not only for my teammates, but also for my peers, around Europe, and that was a big deal for me. I think it was a combination, of a lot of things. Like I said, the national team at that point of Greece was playing at a high level. They won the gold medal in Serbia 2005, and we all know the historic victory that they did against the USA team. I think that was very, very big, especially for me, when they beat my country, with LeBron James and Wayne Wade and all those guys. I was just like, wow, like these are a special group of guys, and I have to work just as hard as them to be like on that level. And again, that's why I felt like we was a special group of guys, because we worked so hard. Of course, we had the greatest coach of all time at that point, with Željko Obradović. He knew how to press our buttons. Some things he would say, we didn't like, but we already, had experienced some success. So everything that he taught us, whether the message was good or bad, we had to find a way to process it and get out on the floor and, and do our job. And, that's why I said we was a special, group. We also had a special assistant coach in Dimitri Tudis, who was a really great communicator, very detailed, in his work, same as Željko. And I think another reason why I said we was a special group of guys, I think we had, a very high level, IQ. We was able to take game plans and process it. We was able to scrap plan A and get to plan B and process it and do it at a high level. When you're on a team like that, you can, do many of things like that on a court, on the fly. I mean, it's a special situation. Željko Obradović he was like an older big brother to us. But at the same time, he gave us love, he gave us discipline. I think all that was fair. He always used to tell us that, I know I yell at you guys and push your buttons, but it's not personal. I have to get you guys to play, to the highest level that you guys can be. And I think he knew he had a group of winners, especially, again, like with the talent that we had with the national team. We had special guys, Dimitridis, Spanoulis, Sasaris. We had really good guys. They was winners, already. And I think Željko knew that. And I think he just had to find the right way to press our buttons. And for me, that worked. Always, I don't want a coach that's just going to sit back and just let me kind of go through the motion. That's how you get lazy, and that's how you take plays off, and that's, how you take shortcuts in the game. So, having, him to push me and constantly push me out my limits was the greatest thing for me. And was very special to me, like from Željko. And then, he did that for years, with us. And it's something I will always remember with him. The one thing about Panathinaikos that I really admired, of course, they want to recruit, the best of the best, but I think they also, wanted guys of high character. They wanted team guys. They wanted locker room guys. And we was lucky to put, 12 to 15 special guys together that had, high character. Dimitridis is a very high character guy. He's quiet, but his work ethic speaks very loud. And, we also had a young kid at that time, Billy Spanulis, who was, kind of learning his way into things, but he had a vision about himself. He wanted to be the best version of himself. We had Sasa Reese, who was like a big time glue guy. You know what I mean? I felt that every time I was beat, by the ball, I did mess up my rotation, he was always there to cover me. And, when you have, guys like that, you have to return the favor, as well. And, you just wanted to be there, for them in every situation because, again, when you see, your teammates, beat the USA national team, it's, you have a special group of guys and high character guys that can get the job done in any moment's notice. Pavlos Giannakopoulos is, he was a father figure to all of us. I think he treated us all like his kids. And for me, I thought it was really special because I wasn't from Greece. I was from another country, but he didn't, look at me any differently. I felt in my heart that he treated me like one of his own, like one of the players. And, when you're given that kind of love, that really goes a long way, and you want to return a favor for why they brought you here. And I think that's the reason why, I worked so hard to be the best that I can be, and I think that's why, we worked so hard, and, we was blessed to take a lot of trophies and a lot of titles from that. Leadership starts always from the top, and it always, trickle down, and when you got great leaders, the pinnacle success is, you have a great chance, for that. And Pavlos was, he was a big deal. He was always come around in practice. Never really talked about basketball, always about life, And for me, when I had conversations with him, he would always ask, how am I fitted into a different country? And I would tell him, I'm a easygoing kind of person. Doesn't really take a lot, for me to be happy. But he was always like, you need anything, let the organization know, we will take care of it. And I felt like that was a security blanket, for me. And I felt that anytime I had a problem, I can always go to them and they can help me out. So that was a real special relationship for me and all the other players on the team. Not too long ago, man, I was like kind of going through my phone, and I caught a picture of me. I have a drink in my hand, and he's coming over to make a toast. Every time, like around Christmas, we would get all the players, family, people from the organization of Panathinaikos, and we would sit there, eat, and, have a Christmas celebration. But I think it was more of just showing how much of a family, we were. And I don't know what was said in that picture, but every time I see it, it really brings a big smile on my face, because again, I looked at him as a father figure, and again, the love and respect that he gave, to me and other players, went a long way. So that's, one thing I will share, and that's always be like one of my fondest memories of him. I think our worst moment, I felt like my worst moments when, we win the European title and we couldn't get back to that platform to defend our European title. 2008, we had a special team again. It was also a special year for us because it's like the 100th year of Panathinaikos. And, I felt there was a different amount of pressure, for us because it was the 100 years of Panathinaikos, and everybody wanted to go to the Final Four, in Madrid from the very beginning. But unfortunately, we was devastated, with a lot of injuries. I remember Sasa Reese broke his hand twice. Dejan Tomasevic had back surgery. I pulled my calf muscles, 2-3 times during the year. Body's betraying you again. There was a lot of setbacks, ups and downs. And that was a very tough year for us because, again, with all the losses, we had to process it. With all the injuries, we had to try to find a way. But we was beaten, and some teams that we know that we can beat, we was losing to. And I think that was a hard thing to process. And, even though we tried to get as healthy as we could, we was just behind in everything. We didn't have our rhythm the way that we should. And, when you suffer injuries to like the most important guys, it changes the structure of how, you want your team and your offense and defense to operate, because at that time, Obradovic had given players a lot of responsibility, myself, other guys, and if you're not on the court, handling those responsibilities the right way, it's difficult. We suffered a big blow as much as we tried to. We lost the game in Serbia, and they eliminated us from going to the Euroleague playoffs. And from then in the locker room, you're just sitting with your head down, knowing that you won't be able to get to the Final Four. That was very difficult, from the first time that happened. And of course, we all know the story about the next year of, 2009. And, from the start of that season as well, we really wasn't playing well. We brought in Nikola Pekovic from Partizan. We made a real big deal of signing Šarūnas Jasikevičius. That was a really big deal. And we had to adjust our style of play, for these special players. We never really had a low post threat for the first few years. I was here in Panathinaikos, and Pekovic brought a different dynamic to our team. We had to run, certain offensive sets through him. We had to learn how to play off of him. And then on top of that, we had Šarūnas Jasikevičius, who was a great point guard at that time. We had to learn how to screen for him. Does he like to go left? Does he like to go right? I had to figure out and study his strengths and weaknesses. That took a lot of time. And again, we wasn't playing really well. We're losing a couple Euroleague games. I remember we lost a couple Greek League games, and that's kind of like a no-no. We lost to Marousi at home, I remember. And then we lost to Panathinaikos, and that was a real intense moment, because when we lost, we saw Thanasi Yiannakopoulos come in the locker room, and he's a little different from Pavlos. He's a little more intense, in your face. And we sat there for like an hour. He went down to every single player, and some things he said, we didn't like, but at the end of the day, you have to find a way to process the message and, be better, the next day. And honestly, when we had those real intense moments, we knew it was coming from love, because when you love something like that, like the presidents of Pavlos and Thanasi, they stressed over it. I'm pretty sure they lost sleep, at night. At times we probably wasn't playing well. And again, you have to find a way to process that message, good or bad, and go out and do your job the best way you can. So that's what we did after that loss to Panathinaikos. We worked and worked and worked, and by the time February came around, which is always the most difficult month in Euroleague, with your top 16, your cup games, you're playing a lot of games that matter. You have to be on your A game, and it takes another level of discipline. Nobody's really going out as much. You go to practice, you go home, you eat, you get your sleep right, you wake up, and you focus, for the next task and day at hand. And, that's what we did. And from that month of February, we started playing at such a high level, it carried us all the way, through the season to the Final Four in Berlin. And we was able to do another special feat, and that's, win another European title, which was my second one, for that year. It was a very, special year because of the players and the talent that we had, like, on that roster. Even now, just coming from Awaka, just, looking at some of the old photos, team photos, you sit there and mesmerized about every single player that was on that roster, the talent and the sacrifice, that we did for one another to accomplish, one goal. Oh man, the fans are unbelievable. I don't know if you ever had an out-of-body experience before, but every game in Awaka, it was just a different level of energy. There's times, I get there 3 hours before the game, it's already 12, 15,000 people, hair standing up on your arm. And it's another level of energy that you have to take from the fans and put it to your game. And I always use the fans, to my advantage. Also, my other teammates, we used our fans to our advantage. When times where we don't have energy, we're down, just their energy can just, pick your level of play up. And they did that a lot for us. I think they know that as well, you know. But not also a Panathinaikos fan. All around Europe, it's a special situation. You know, even now, like, you know, coaching some of these young guys now, I always tell them the difference between NBA fans and Euroleague fans, and I will show the YouTube clips, and you can see the difference. And some of these guys are in awe of the level of energy that European fans bring. It blows the NBA fans out of the water, and that's, you know, my opinion. The rivalry between Panathinaikos and Olympiacos is very, very special. Of course, you know, coming up over here, I really didn't know. I knew it was a rival, but I didn't grow up in the rivalry to really know what it was about. I had to grow, you know, into that. And you know, you have Frankie Albertus, who was, you know, with Panathinaikos for a very long time, probably the most experienced player at that time. And he used to always tell me stories, and I didn't believe him. Like, what do you mean? He was just like, you know, when you go to this game, it's going to be not about X and O's, it's about who wants it more. And, you know, I had my first experience with that, and, you know, it was okay, you know. And also, like, my first couple years, you know, Olympiacos wasn't really, you know, a powerhouse, as you would really say. They was kind of taking steps back, resetting, you know, their team. But by the, you know, my third year, they was pretty good. And even though we was beating them, we knew that they was like our biggest challenge, you know, every single year, because also they have history, also they have tradition, big name players that came, you know, through their program. You know, they were the first Greek league team to, you know, win a Triple Crown. I mean, they have history and tradition. They also have good fans as well. And also I would say it's special because, you know, their fans as well, even though you're an opponent and they boo you and everything else, you process that energy as well too. And those are like special rivalries I would want any player to experience or be in. Again, growing up, you know, in LA, watching the Lakers and Celtics rivalry at that time in the 80s was brutal. You know, I wanted to be like in those rivalries when I was young. And, you know, when I got, you know, over here and got into this special rivalry, that's how I treated it, you know. You know, it was intense. I didn't really go out on the street as much because, you know, like when Panathinaikos and Olympiacos meet in a certain week, it's, you know, it's a different level of energy like around the city. And you really have to be careful of, you know, certain fans saying things I know they mean well, but they can kind of take you off your game plan a little bit if you're not really focused on certain things. So I would try to stay at home and not be out as much. But the rivalry is huge, and we saw that through the years, and we're still seeing that now. And it's a really big deal. When Panathinaikos and Olympiacos even meet, even now, I know I'm not playing, I try to like clear out my schedule so I can at least watch a quarter or a half or the full game. I mean, when you're in that rivalry for so long, like it's hard to, you know, forget all the memories you had, good or bad, you know. And you're kind of hoping that players from both teams are taking advantage of this special rivalry. I think 2007 was probably one of the wildest memories. I remember Mulimirovic hits a shot and puts Olympiacos up 6 points. And I can remember seeing Penny Gershon over there on the sideline. He's celebrating a little bit, you know, too early. And you know, normally when games go like that, you can kind of predict that it's going to be a win or a loss. And I remember we're taking the ball out the net really fast. I set a screen, I pop out to the three, I shoot the three, you know, I make it, we're down 3. And I knew we had to foul real quick. We foul, you know, we put Alice Aker on the line. He makes the first one, you're down 4. So now you're like, dang, how are we going to win this? You know, it's a 2-possession game. He misses the second free throw, and that was big. And I can remember Sonny grabbing a rebound, going coast to coast, right for the layup. They didn't foul, nothing. And I can hear Jelko from the bench, hey, still the ball, still the ball. And one of the best defenders of all time, Dimitris Diamantidis, makes an unbelievable play by stealing a bounce pass. And when he made the steal, I was at the right place, right time, and I made the layup and the free throw, and we ended up taking the lead. And that was like I mean, also mesmerizing and a mental like self-esteem too as well, because when you're down 6 and all hope is lost, you know, you still have to have that level of belief that you're going to win a game regardless of how much time is left on the clock. And to have that experience, it helped us cope with any kind of challenge that was put ahead of us, because we knew it could be done because we've done it before. So that was like, you know, one of my most special memory from that rival, because when Mula made that shot, Seth was, I mean, they was erupting, and I'm telling you, they was cheering so loud, I can feel the floor vibrating. I'm serious. And when you make that shot, okay, they calm down a little bit, but when that still happened, and I made the layup and the free throw, I've never heard Seth that quiet ever before. And it was a really, really good feeling of how we won the game. You know, we all celebrated, hugged. We was in the locker room because it was like, we were just down 30 seconds, by 6 points with 30 seconds ago. How did we win this game? You know, for 5-10 minutes, you're still trying to process it because it's an unbelievable feeling. But then you go back, watch the game, watch the film, and you see why we won. We didn't quit. We played all the way until the last second, went down on the clock. The summer of 2014, it's like end of August. My body is not responding to me the way that I would like it. And, you know, I'm start having doubts of like, should you listen to your body and, you know, hang it up? But mentally, you know, your mind is playing tricks on you, telling you, you know, you can play again. You know, you're Mike Batiste, you know, you can do this. But I think my knees had it at that point. You know, I had 3 knee surgeries before I even, you know, well, actually I had 2 knee surgeries before I came to Panthernαϊκos, and then I had another one in 2007. And I just think, you know, from, you know, all the injuries, the ankles and everything else, I think it was time to, you know, listen to my body. Even though it was the hardest decision of my life, because, you know, basketball was my means of survival, you know, ever since I was young, and now to say goodbye to it, it was tough, you know, because during retirement, there's no manual how to, you know, get through retirement. You don't get a book and day 1, this is what you do. Day 2, this is what you do. You have to figure it out like on the fly, you know, and then, you know, in September, you know, I made the choice to retire. It was difficult, but at the end of the day, I kept staying around the game, and that's kind of like my graduation from, you know, all the time, you know, I gave or dedicated my time as a player to the game, you know, and now I just jumped off into the field of coaching. So I'm still around the game. I'm not the player, but, you know, my mind still has a lot of knowledge, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to find a way to pass my knowledge down to younger players. I didn't know, you know, what level. And, you know, I got blessed to be in the highest level right now, and that's the NBA. So it's, even though I didn't even accomplish my dream of playing so long in the NBA, I still feel like it's a dream for me to be a coach in the NBA right now. Željko Obradović is a big inspiration, you know, to me and to other players. You know, you see his inspiration trickle down, you know, to a lot of players that he's coached. You know, Šarūnas is coaching in Barcelona. You know, Dimitris and Alberta is over here, you know, running things here with Panathinaikos. And, you know, even for myself, you know, I'm coaching myself. I think we all have learned of a lot, you know, from Željko. How to be a leader, how to communicate, you know, to your players. You know, how to love them, how to respect them. I think, you know, how to press their buttons, you know, the right way, how to get them to lock in on film session and study, you know, the right way. There's a lot of things I learned from Željko, and hopefully, you know, if I'm given that chance to be a head coach, you know, in the NBA, which is my biggest challenge right now, that's what I want to do. We will see, you know, if I can put all the inspiration and things that I learned from him, you know, to that challenge, and I'm up for it, you know, and that's what I'm doing now. And, you know, we'll see what the future holds. I don't have any regrets of, you know, choosing Europe. At the end of the day, I always had a message that, you know, basketball works for me. I don't work for basketball, and wherever it takes me, I will look into it, and if it's the best option for me, I'm gonna go there and and give it my all. I mean, I started my first 2 years, in Europe before I went to the NBA, and when things wasn't working right, I was just like, I ain't got no problem, going back over. And when I went back over, I connected, with one of the best teams in Europe, and also winning makes, your choice, your decision to come back a lot easier. I knew we had a special group of guys, and I wanted to see how far we can take it, like year by year by year. So after that 2007 season, I signed a 3-year deal with Panathinaikos to stay on. And from that moment then, I was like, if I had any small little dreams of going back to the NBA, it is finished at this point. And from that, I just steer head forward to the to all the goals that I set in front of myself to accomplish everything that I can, in Europe. Spending 10 years in one country, you're gonna have a lot of love for, the country, the people. And 43 years old now, I mean, that's a quarter of my life. How do you forget about that? You have special memories here from, all the titles and stuff you've taken, but on the flip side of that, the citizens of Greece also, showed me a lot of respect, and I really appreciated that. I didn't know I was going to be respected like that or whatever. It was like another out-of-body experience to be in a different country that's learn a little bit of the language, the culture, great food. I think California and Greece has a lot of similarity in terms of the weather, the beaches, the vibe, and over a course of time, by my 3rd year, I started getting comfortable around here. I didn't think I was going to be here for a very long time, but again, after 2007, that was my 4th year with Panathinaikos, and when I signed a 3-year deal, I'm like, shoot, after 3 years, that'd be 7 years. It's like, it felt like home to me. Like, even in the summer, I would leave clothes and stuff here in my house here, only take minimal clothes to America, because I know that our break is like really short. It's like 2 months, and then you're back up over here. So Greece will always be, a second home for me. I think that's the reason why, I came back here. I do have thoughts of, coming back. A lot of people, fans, oh, Mike, you should come back, coach. And that's an unbelievable honor. Honestly, it's an unbelievable level of respect. I think I understand the pressure here, what it takes to win here. I think I'm learning rapidly in this coaching game of how to get players to play at a high level. And, we will see. I don't know what the future holds. I'll always keep that door open, that option open. But, right now, I want to challenge myself in the goal that's in front of me and try to be a head coach in the NBA. And once I challenge that goal, succeed or fail, maybe I can look into another chapter in my life and come back home. We'll see.